push button. In many cases and times, it is about the last part one actually thinks about. However, in practice, good or bad buttons are significant for the perception of quality which your product will be under. And in the following steps, I'm going to show you how to select a push button intelligently. Usually how I start to approach the problem is I buy a bunch of different switches, and then, as you see here, I just put them all on the table in the first step. And what is very important, these switches all look kind of the same. So you should always only unpack one bag at a time, lest you have a big chaos. As I already said in the introduction, the button is very important as it is the defining element for the user experience. And so obviously the first test could not be simpler. Take the button and just give it a little jank and see how well it feels. And then just do this for all of them. And if you have one which feels really crappy, just immediately eliminate it from the field. And when you are working with an existing application, of course it's important to check the size fit. And you see here, this is now a bit of an unscientific method, but this is the hole where the button will live. And you see, I put it in here and I see that it fits. And of course you must be careful. You must always A, also account for the PCB, and B, when you're working with this kind of push button, you must always make sure to test with this in the erected state. Because you see, the button is physically smaller when the thing is enabled. And here we have the first of the buttons, which I am going to use. This is the one which changes its erection state. So when it's active, the plunger is less long. One more really important aspect before you sign off on any of these buttons is, especially if you're looking for a latching button, you need to do a test. Because you see, even though I've selected only latching buttons, I got quite a few which don't have a latching action, as you see here, for example, in this case. And because the design of these, everyone has its own footprint, you need to be quite careful to really make sure that the switching action is okay, and ideally you should also measure the contact resistance. But of course, for the contact resistance, you don't want to use these alligator clips. And there is one thing which is very sweet for the mechanical engineers. This is a latching button, but you see the amount of erection of the plunger, whether it is on or whether it is off, remains the same. And this makes life a lot easier for the mechanical engineer because he doesn't have to adjust the design so much. And here we have the second one. This one does not change its erection state, as we discussed. And yes, something else which is important is that my practical experience teaches that especially specialty buttons, such as these, can run out. And you see here, I've got two different units from Alps Alpine, but they have the same matching footprint as you see here. And this is very helpful because in this case, if you cannot get the one mechanical, you can get the other mechanical, and so it reduces the distraction to the assembly work. And of course, yes, I know that surface mount buttons are not exactly popular, but here we see the situation is better for multiple reasons. First of all, we've got a total of 4 contacts, and 2 flanges. And secondarily, we've got these little feet here at the bottom, which mate with the PCB additionally. And especially if this is a tight fit or you put a bit of glue at the bottom, then this eliminates or helps eliminate a lot of the shearing and lets the assembly be relatively well behaved. And in general, when you purchase buttons or any kind of electromechanical component, it is really important to do a price comparison, because this is the kind of component which is known to be a high margin product for distributors. And now you see here, I go into OEM secrets with this part. And yes, because I'm based in Hungary, as always, they want to give me forint first. So I go here into Euro. And now we go for, say, 10 of them. And we see here a difference. At Mauser, it's 49 euros. At Chip One Stop, it's 16 euros. And here at Verical, it would be like 30. And if you see a price structure like this, it's always also recommended, first of all, of course, to select the cheapest distributor if you can. And if this is not possible because you cannot meet the minimum order quantity, which, by the way, can be cheaper than buying them piecemeal, then it might also make good sense to get in touch with the field sales engineer of the company. And with this, I hope that I've showed you a little bit about the thinking which goes into the selection of buttons in my company, and I hope that this was educational for you, and thank you so much for tuning in. See you next time. Bye bye.